Hello, hello. Good morning if you're joining on this side of the world in Canada or the US. My name's Joanna. I'm going to be guiding you today through a 30-minute grounding Hatha practice. For this class, you will need your mat. If you have a bolster, that would be handy, or some thick cushions off the couch, a blanket and eye pillow for Shavasana, and maybe a couple of foam yoga blocks if you have them. If you don't, you can just use more of those cushions. And the idea of today's class is that we look at ways to thread a theme throughout an entire practice. We learn so much in our yoga teacher training, and it is more interesting as a teacher for us to get creative with pulling all those strands of learning together into one cohesive theme. So today's theme is grounding, and we're going to incorporate mantra, meditation, pranayama, and asana practice into the next 30 minutes, or try to anyway. So once you're settled and ready to go, we will begin. I'd love for you to start this practice in Sukhasana, a tall, easy seat. Feel free to be sitting up on your trusty bolster or cushion to elevate your hips slightly, and we will get going. And start to soften your eyes to close, or draw your gaze down towards the earth to begin this process of anchoring and grounding. And rest your hands, palms face down on your thighs, to also initiate grounding and anchoring through your entire body. Soften around your jaw, your eyebrows and your shoulders. And start to cultivate as much length through the crown of your head as you can. And from this place, I invite you to softly breathe in and out of your lower belly, starting to draw attention down into that space. Noticing the belly rise and fall with your inhales and exhales. Knowing that you're breathing life and space and vitality into the vital organs that live there. I also invite you now to notice the weight of your pelvic bowl to the earth. Perhaps observing a red color in the base of the pelvis. The root chakra, Muladhara, this red orb circulating at the base of the pelvis and radiating down into the floor. There is this sweet support between your body and the earth. Can you feel that? This root chakra is your home of belonging, of survival. It was the first chakra that was developed in your body. It is a place of home, a place of belonging. And as we open this practice together, I invite you to ponder a question as we move through the class. What is it that grounds you? What is it that grounds you? And from this place of anchoring and stability, feel free to join me now in mantra. You can either chant this mantra out loud or simply repeat it to yourself silently. The mantra today is LAM, L-A-M, and LAM is the vibrational sound of the root chakra. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And breath in to begin. LAM, 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 LAM. Take another deep breath in, deep breath out. And from here, I invite you into Ujjayi breath, Ujjayi pranayama, to cultivate more calm, more grounding, more heat building, with that slight constriction to the back of the throat. You are slowing the breath down, which in turn is stimulating for the parasympathetic nervous system, which will send this calm, soothing energy through your entire body, helping us with this theme of grounding. So if you already know Ujjayi breath, you can start to cultivate that now. If you would like some guidance coming into this breath work, you want to imagine that you are creating a slight constriction to the back of your throat. Your inhale and your exhale is through your nose. And it's on the exhale breath that you feel that slight constriction to the back of the throat, and you can hear almost like an ocean sound in your own head, in your own breath. So you'll breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the nose with a slight constriction to the throat. Your lips are gently closed. You can take a little time now to practice this breath. And if this breath doesn't serve you for any reason, please feel free to breathe naturally. Notice how just a couple of rounds of this pranayama, or this slowing down of breath, is having an impact on your physical body. And notice how focusing on the breath helps to calm and steady the mind. Remember, this breath work is the bridge between the body and the mind. From this place and with this breath work, let us move into asana, moving into Janu Shirshasana, our first shape together. I would love for you to either be sitting on your prop or sitting directly on the floor and extending just your right leg forwards. The sole of your left foot is connected to your inner right leg. If you need more support, more props, feel free to wedge your prop underneath your left hip or under your left knee for extra support. You could also slide a prop under your right knee if you need a little extra bend in that right leg. From here, your fingertips are either side of your right leg. You're lifting tall through the crown of your head and your spine. Your right foot is flexed. Take an inhale breath. As you exhale, pull belly button to spine. Hug your right hip back and start to lean forwards with your heart towards your right toes. Walking the hands either down the mat or down your right leg and looking at your right shin. You don't have to fold yourself fully into a shape that starts to feel really restrictive. You want to just fold yourself into a shape where you can feel the stretch in the 3 strands of your hamstring. Continue to cultivate as much Ujjayi breath here as is comfortable, or continue with just those simple, longer inhales and exhales. Relax your jaw. Continue to observe the anchoring of your pelvic bowl to the earth. All these asana shapes have the focus of the pelvic bowl and its quality of anchoring and grounding. Every shape we come into today is themed around anchoring and grounding. Take 3 more breaths here. And then start to lift yourself up nice and slowly, walking your hands towards you. Bringing the left foot to the mat now, left knee in towards your chest. Let's move into Marichi. So you're sitting on the pelvic bowl here, rooting down. You're wrapping your right arm around your left shin and your left fingertips are behind you for support on the floor. To begin, look forwards, lift your chest proud, take an inhale breath. And as you exhale, start the turn with your pelvis. So turn your pelvis to the left, then your belly, then your rib cage, and finally turn your head. The reason we start the twist in the pelvis is so that we can integrate this spiral all the way up and down the entire length of the back, not just from the belly button. This twist should begin at the base of the pelvis. On your inhale breaths, lift nice and tall through your chest. On your exhale breath, see if you can cultivate a little more twist, only if it feels good. And again, like this, inhale, long spine. Exhale to twist. Use your inhale to come all the way back to center. Extend your left leg, bend your right knee, sole of the right foot to your inner left leg, maybe a prop under your right knee or right hip, maybe a prop under your left knee if needed. Fingertips are on the floor, you're lengthening through your spine, your left foot is flexed. Exhale, hinge forwards, walk your hands down that left leg or down the mat. Look at your left shin. Janu-Shirshasana, second side, second round. Breath, ironing out any of that sticky webbing in the back of your left leg. Ujjayi quality of breath, slight constriction to the back of the throat, softening wherever you can. Notice if you're just shifting tension from one area of the body to another. Can you dissolve any of that clenching around your hands, your shoulders, your eyes? And if at any time it feels good to just release a big audible exhale breath from the mouth, do so. That's a wonderful purifying, cleansing process, that big audible release of breath. Feel free. We've got 3 more breaths here. your next inhale, walk your hands towards you, come all the way up, and exhale at the top. Remove any props. Sole of the right foot to the mat, right knee hugging to your chest, left arm wrapping around the right shin, and your right fingers support you behind you. Inhale, look forwards, lift tall and proud through the crown of your head. Exhale, turn the pelvis right, turn the belly right, chest right, and finally look over your right shoulder. Take a long inhale breath here, lifting through the spine. Exhale as you twist. Inhale once again, long spine. Exhale to twist. Inhale all the way back to center. Exhale, extend both legs long, lean into your hands, roll your ankles, wiggle your toes, shake out the legs. Come around onto your hands and knees. Feel free to pad your knees with a blanket if you need to. Take your knees nice and wide, big toes together, melting back into Balasana, child's pose, nuzzling your chest and your forehead closer to the floor. This is where your cushions might be handy. You could always put a bolster or cushions in the gap between your pelvis and your heels, so we're continuing to allow the pelvis to feel supported by something. We want the weight of the pelvis to drop down. So this could be a nice option. You might also choose to put a block underneath your forehead, especially if your forehead is not quite touching the floor. And then choose whether your arms extend completely long and straight, or whether there's a slight bend in your elbows, especially for those with shoulder mobility issues. You might choose more of a bend in the elbows. From here, soften your eyes and breathe wide, deep breaths into the back of your rib cage, into your lower back and back of the pelvis. Can you still observe that red orb at the base of your pelvis? Child's pose is a wonderful shape for supporting grounding and surrender. It is a great place for rest and recoup. Either stay here facing directly forwards on your mat, or on your next inhale, walk your two arms over to the right with your head and your chest, and find a diagonal line as you fold forwards. Option to rest your left hand on top of your right one, bow your head between your arms, anchor your left hip back to your left heel, and breathe sweeping breaths into the left side of your body. 3 breaths here. On your next inhale, walk yourself through center and over to the left. Right hand can rest on top of left one if you wish. Forehead bowing between your arms. Right hip rooting back and down. Long breaths into your right side. And then inhale back to center. Exhale fully in child's pose. Feel free to remain here, child's pose, Balasana, or come into tabletop position, or come into downward facing dog. I'll leave it up to you. You choose what you need. If you're coming into down dog, check in that your hands are rooting, you're gripping through each and every finger pad, lifting the pelvis towards the sky, and starting to just paddle the heels one at a time into the mat, rocking the hips, relaxing the head. Take a couple of deep breaths here. Changing that grounding and rooting sensation into the hands and feet. What does that feel like? From wherever you are, look at your hands, bend your knees and start to walk your feet to your hands at the top edge of your mat, coming into a standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Feet hip distance apart and parallel of one another, fingertips to the floor or hands on your lovely blocks. Bowing your head down, relaxing the head. If this doesn't feel comfortable, you could always rest your forearms on your thighs with the knees nice and soft. And instead of looking at your shins, just looking at the floor. This is particularly good if you have high blood pressure. Just looking at the floor instead of to your legs. Take a couple more deep breaths here and give the responsibility into your 10 toes. Leaning into the toes more than the heels. Working the legs a little longer and straighter if it feels good. From here, I invite you to shuffle your feet as wide as your yoga mat. Turn your 10 toes onto the floor. Keep your heels on your mat. And now we'll come into Malasana, yogi squat. So you're lowering your pelvis back towards the floor. Some of you will keep your forearms on your thighs and keep the pelvis a little higher. Some of you will use a block to sit on and bring the pelvis a little lower. And others of you will hover your pelvis just off the floor. Feel free to bring your hands into Anjali Mudra at the center of your chest and press your arms into your inner legs. As you lift your chest tall, spine long, press into the pinky toe edges of your feet, so you're lifting the arches of your feet a little more, not collapsing into those inner arches. Breathe deep breaths down into the groins, down into the pelvis. What is it that grounds you? What is it that grounds you? Lower your hands onto the earth, followed by your pelvis. Extend your legs forwards and long. Wiggle your toes, roll your ankles, lean back into your hands. Sit nice and tall in Dandasana, staff pose. Make sure you have room behind you to roll down. Inhale, arms in parallel in front of you. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, roll all the way down onto your back. Engaging your core, engaging your legs all the way down to the floor with control. Exhale completely at the bottom, surrendering the back of your body to the floor. Hug your right knee into your chest. Keep your left leg long on the mat. Apana asana. Breathe into your lower belly once again, just like we cultivated at the very beginning of class. This is massaging your digestive system. Lower the right leg, bring the left knee to chest, and continue the same work, breathing into the lower belly. This is also providing the front of your hip with a wonderful stretch into that right hip flexor. Soften your shoulders. And then meeting with your feet to the mat. Your feet are in parallel hip distance apart here. You have the option to grab either your bolster cushion or firmer block and lift your pelvis up and place your prop underneath you. You don't have to do this, especially if you're on your menstrual cycle. It might not feel good to elevate the hips in this way, or if you have any lower back issues, this also might not be for you. So just check in first and make sure this feels comfortable. If you have elevated the pelvis, make sure that whatever is underneath your pelvis, so you want the sacrum, that triangular bone at the base of the spine, to be what is resting on your prop. Just make sure that everything feels comfortable and at ease, that your pelvis can surrender into the prop. And then your legs are going to come a little wider. So take your feet as wide as your mat, and then just rest your knees into one another. This is a wonderful release for your lower back and your hips. Your hands are resting on your lower belly. Your eyes are closed, your shoulders nuzzled underneath you. You can do this exact same shape without the prop if you wish. From here, I'll guide you through a grounding meditation. Close your eyes. I invite you to visualize the spaces of your body that are touching the floor or a prop. The back of the head, the shoulder blades, the backs of your upper arms, the back of your pelvis, your feet. I invite you to visualize roots growing down and out of those areas of your body, moving down deeper and wider into the earth. These roots are red in color, just like our root chakra, Muladhara. And these roots growing deeper and wider from your body into the earth symbolize stability, grounding, support, belonging, home. Notice these roots getting thicker and wider and deeper. And in turn, notice the roots drawing energy up from the earth and back towards your body. This red energy of warmth and support and love and rejuvenation and healing. This energy is drawing up all those roots you've cultivated and back towards your body. This beautiful harmony of body and earth in balance and support of one another. Soak it all in. Give yourself full permission to receive. Feel free to remain like this, or simply move into Shavasana, extending your legs, extending your arms, and maybe adding a blanket for extra grounding or warmth and weight, and an eye pillow to shield out the light. And let yourself completely settle for the next few moments. No more to do. If you have more time to devote to your Shavasana today, please feel free to stay as you are. If it's time to come out for you, start to deepen your breath, wiggle your fingers and toes, roll your wrists and ankles, and take a nice long full body stretch as you inhale. As you exhale, hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself some love, rock on your back. And then rolling onto your side body. Coming all the way back up to a tall seat, Sukhasana, as you're ready. Try if you can to remain with your eyes closed. And drop back into the anchoring of your pelvis to the earth. You can either place your hands on your thighs, on your lower belly, or back in Anjali Mudra at the center of your chest, this symbol of offering and devotion. May we return to that pondering question, what is it that grounds you? And may we continue to carve out time in our days for these such activities that root us, that anchor us, that soothe our nervous system, so that we can replenish, so that we can fill up our own love tanks and then be a better service to others. Thank you so much for joining me here today. It was my pleasure to guide you. One deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Namaste. Thank you all so much. If you have any questions, queries, want anything repeated, feel free to leave a comment and I will respond. I hope this was useful. I hope that it stirred some creativity within you to think about all types of theming for your classes and how to pull in all this amazing learning from your teacher trainings into one cohesive class. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your trainings, your teachings, your learnings, and I'll see you on your mat soon. Bye.